welcome back to a brand new episode of the number one Aussie Star Wars podcast / show. This is Blore on Mandalore, and I am your host, Jeremy Blore. Guys, killer episode. Killer, dilla, filler. What? I'm so sorry to use the F word so early. But look, it's gonna have to happen. Sadly, this episode has been a little bit more of a filler than the previous episodes. But if this is a filler quality, whoa, this season might actually go down as the best Disney Star Wars show that has ever been created. And that is also coming from a Mandalorian mega fan. If you think you are a bigger Mandalorian fan than me, get out of my face and fight me in the comments. Fight me down there, all right? Right down below where I'm pointing. Biggest Mandalorian fan ever, coolest dude ever. I'm going to do a whole episode just based on him. Don't even try me. Look, guys, episode 12, Juggernaut. Awesome, jam-packed with action. I'm going to give this episode rating 7.5 out of 10. Why do I say 7.5 out of 10? Well, it didn't have the mind explosion, jizzle attack, but it was awesome, jam-packed with action, also some really cool themes, and we get to see the return of Rampart. Come on! With my favorite ever vehicle, the Juggernaut. So, who doesn't love a clone using clone technology? If you don't, tell me why down below. So if you haven't seen this show before, actually we have a ranking system. We have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. D tier, you will most likely never ever see anything in D tier because I am a sucker for recency bias, and all of the stuff that I put out, I'm going to be like, oh no, but it was awesome here, awesome here. Which is why at the end of Bad Batch Season 3, I'm going to put every single episode on its own individual ranking on a big whiteboard that's going to go right behind me. Now, what do I give this ranking? I actually give this a low A tier. I don't say B tier because they actually brought in some really cool lore. I love what they're doing with midichlorians and figuring out, cloning and telling us everything about Project Necromancer. So that just can't go lower than an A for me. But I think it is the lowest of A tier, bordering slightly. Honestly, look, I'll give my 1 minute review. Awesome, jam-packed, great lore, return of Rampart, awesome. But a lot of it, and pretty much all of it, was spoiled either by the trailer or by Instagram. The Star Wars channel put out probably like 2 days before. Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago. I film this always on the night. So, but I mean, to be fair, this one's a little more closer to the daytime. Crazy coconut boy. But they released majority of what is the Juggernaut scene when they're going across the side of the mountain. And they did it way too early. Way too early. Like, do it after. But with the trailer, when we get to see, so much was spoiled with that trailer. Like Crosshair's new armor, Omega with the batch, the Marauder blowing up. The trailer was phenomenal. If you didn't want to watch the Bad Batch, that was just basically like a reciting of what happened, other than a couple of major twists that, like Omega with Project Necromancer and figuring out with M count in her blood and so on and how they replicate, blah, 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 blah. I could blabber on for as long as possible. But the important part is it was spoiled. It was spoiled before some of the coolest scenes and what I thought were the coolest scenes. So it just didn't have that wow. That was a lot longer than a minute. But guys, look, you came here to do one thing. And that was to sit back, relax, and listen to me talk about my very top number one favorite franchise in the whole world. Let's get down to the episode. So if you haven't seen this channel before, what I like to do is I'll put everything into talking points, and I'll structure it throughout what happened in the episode. Episode. Now, if you want to comment on anything, you can actually structure your comments throughout the episode as well with a timestamp, and I'm going to know exactly what you're talking about. So it is pretty interactive. I'm very active on social media and on YouTube. Any comment, any like, doesn't go astray. I really appreciate everything. But the important thing is I love reactions with fans. At the end of this episode, if you hang around, you'll actually see I do a fan question segment, which has been a lot of fun these past couple of weeks. Had a couple of really, really good questions being sent in, and I'm thankful for everything. So let's go into the number one problem out of this whole episode. The number one problem. I talked about it previously on the last episode, but we're going to have to go into it, and this is very serious. So I'm going to have to get a little closer to the camera. Gonky is still MIA? What? Gonky, where are you at, brother? I miss you. Gonk droids are my favorite droids ever. And Gonky was special. Wrecker saved him. I mean, I know we see his legs going me in the water, but where is he? Is he chilling on Pabu with the pina colada in his hand? Or is he dead? Ah! Seriously, that is actually the most important part of this episode. Not the fact that, Rampart's there and he has a way to find the location of Tantus. No. That's kind of important, but nowhere near as important as my boy Gonky. So if they do not bring back Gonky, I'm going to get my pitchfork out, I'm going to get my torch, and I'm going to go to the capital. Which is Canberra, because I'm in Australia, and that's a bit too far. But I'll march. Maybe I'll have to go to the Disney headquarters in Australia, and I don't know where they are, but we will find them. Bless up, Gonky. No, similar to Halo, no Spartan ever dies. He's just MIA. Gonky, I got you, brother. I know you're going to come back. An interesting thing that I saw past Gonky was that Hunter actually wasn't angry at Crosshair. Now, the big part about this is Crosshair's arc throughout this whole season has been kind of reuniting with the Batch. Obviously, he has his old armor, very much back to square one with the guys. All of them have had to alter their armor, change the colors because they don't have any of the same paints as what they did. They really don't have the funding of the Republic behind them. So Crosshair is effectively brand new to the Batch. He's done a lot of bad things, so he's had to scratch all of that past. And, I mean, everyone in the Batch has had a trouble with him. The only person that really, truly hasn't is Omega. And her relationship with Crosshair has been super duper important. But what I found interesting was, we had the episode when they went onto the ice planet that the Crosshair and Mayday were on. I can't remember the name, but I will put the name right there. Basically, we got to see them on that planet, and, Hunter was angry, rightfully so. Why the hell is Crosshair back? Why didn't he help Omega? What's going on here? I know they arrived together, but Omega was the one who found out. Surely Crosshair wasn't actually in a cell the whole time. But Crosshair didn't tell them all of that. Crosshair actually throughout this whole season has withheld a lot of secrets. Just like what has been happening with Admiral Rampart potentially knowing the location of Tantus. Like, maybe, brother, you'd tell them a little bit earlier? Come on. Yeah, so, you know, you got to see a little bit of discomfort when it was with Wrecker. Like, how could you let Omega go? How? She's a part of the batch. She is our family. But Crosshair he's pretty stern, and he's becoming a really strong character, and he's able to say, no, guys, she made that decision. Yes, she self-sacrificed, but the importance was for everyone on Pabu, not just the batch. Because the Empire would have gone around killing everyone on Pabu until they got Omega. There was no way out. May as well self-sacrifice, and in the perfect situation, Crosshair wouldn't have missed that tracker bolt. But he's not the same as what he was before. So I find it interesting that now Crosshair is back with the batch completely. Hunter is the leader. Like it or not, I think Crosshair might become a leader, maybe the leader later on. He will stand up when it's needed. But really, Hunter kind of controls the pack. And if he's cool with Crosshair, hey, look, we're all cool with Crosshair. Look, another thing that I've watched this probably about 3-4 times already. I just, there's been so many little things that I just wanted to pinpoint exactly so I could get the right information to you. But Crosshair and his link with his hand is to Tantus. The way they do the camera, they pan it right down when he goes, oh, I don't want to go back to Tantus, and his hand's shaking, and it goes right down and it zooms in on the hand. I think that because of what happened to him on Tantus, created his problem with his hand. Be that mental, like what everyone, like AZ was saying, oh, there's no proper diagnosis. That sounds like C-3PO, but if there's no proper diagnosis, we have to think it's mental. And then Omega kind of goes through that whole meditation path. But it's just, I don't know if it's with DNA splicing. I brought that up a couple of episodes ago. Is it DNA splicing where they've taken parts of his DNA out, and then maybe that's why he's lacking with the literal Crosshair side of his name, which is his whole name? Because Clone X has been incredibly talented with the sniper. I digress. But what I think is really cool is maybe it is actually the degradation of their enhanced genetics. Obviously, all of the batch have been enhanced specifically for certain things. You know, tech. What do you think with Wrecker? Strength. Hunter, his senses. Ooh, psh, psh. And then we have Crosshair. Now, obviously, Echo joined because he was a bit of a misfit after he was kind of like sucked out of all of his life and then given a screwdriver as a hand that has a USB port in it. But other than that, like, there could just be the inherent degradation of his DNA. We don't know. I personally think it is a mixture of the DNA slicing and also torture. Crosshair went through some stuff, especially when he defected so many times and he broke out and he sent the message to the batch and so on. Oh, scary stuff. And you kind of see him while he's going through, I think it was on the first episode, when we see Omega aging throughout the first half of the episode. And when she sees Crosshair every single time, he looks more and more worn. He looks more and more like depressed. He's just saddened by what has been happening to him. And he's a prisoner of war. They can't do anything with him other than enslave him at this point. So why are they just keeping him in a cell? Which is where I link the DNA splicing. So they find out Rampart can take them to Tantus, but Rampart is on Erebus. Erebus is the planet where they're having an Imperial labor camp. What I actually kind of thought was cool was that Erebus is kind of... It's a part of a fan fiction that I read ages and ages and ages ago. This person put out on Reddit. There was Darth Erebus. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Maybe if they linked it towards something that a fan had done, look, that would be incredible. We all know that Disney is fantastic at fan service. Put aside all of your grievances with Disney, but they are really good with fan service. So it'd be awesome to see potentially that they created the name based off of that character. Zoom in to Erebus. Rampart is a prisoner and he's doing slave work at this labor camp, obviously to do with the name. But he sees a cool species, which being the Mandalorian fan that I said I was before, hell yeah, brother. There was an Ugnaught. An Ugnaught is Quill's species. I have spoken. That was more of a Yoda. But I thought it was really cool that they're adding in the Ugnaught because they've added so many times lore of the Ugnaughts were terribly hard workers, constantly at the top of their league working with the Empire to earn their freedom like Quill did. And then you see what he did with IG, with the IG droid. IG-11. Voiced by Taika Waititi, which he's fallen off. That's a hot take. Maybe it's not too much of a hot take. I digress. But don't have ADHD and do a podcast, guys. You're never gonna have the proper scheduling. Anyways, so yeah, we see an Ugnaught, really cool, Mandalorian fan, move on, otherwise I'm gonna get stuck in that going down a rabbit hole for like 10 million years. Crosshair on the Juggernaut. Now, not only do I love the Juggernaut so much, I am obsessed with Crosshair at the moment. He has been given the best character arc out of any of the Star Wars TV shows. Now, yeah, movie-wise, Darth Vader, you can't beat that character arc. He literally went from the most beautiful, pure, innocent kid to someone who's killing kids to someone who's like, oh, you know, my son's here and I'm just going to throw away Palpatine into this duct. But somehow he returned. No one can beat that character arc, but I just think Crosshair and everything that they've been doing for him blown my mind, created someone that I actually genuinely love. You know, maybe they're doing the Ahsoka treatment because Ahsoka, you know, they wanted you to hate her at the start and then you grow to just love her and be obsessed with her. Filoni says that that was his intentions. I really don't know if it was. I think people just didn't really like her too much. But they are doing this with Crosshair, obviously turning to the Empire and then coming back. Character arc for days. Day Z. Days. Yeah, so Crosshair, obviously with his banged up hand, he can't really do too much with that. You actually see him execute Plan 55. I was about to say execute Order 66. I got to hold myself back. I know, I just did it. No, but you get to see Crosshair and Wrecker do Plan 55. Now, this is back to the old Season 1 Crosshair, where he would put the mirrors up on the hallway and then shoot and then dum, 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 brr, kill. He's a gangster. But with this one, Crosshair, even though his banged up hand, he was able to refurbish every single, or bounce off the blaster bolts and kill as many of the TK troopers as he could, followed by Wrecker. Bang, bang! Guys, the batch is back in full action. Now, obviously, they didn't really seem it when they worked with each other against Asajj Ventress. But I think the point of their fight with Asajj was they didn't really work well as a team. They went individually, right? They went individually against Asajj, and they all kind of went down. But what was awesome about this one is the clones are back together, working together, and this is why they are the special Clone Force 99 that we know and love. I don't want them to be weaker than your everyday run-of-the-mill Jedi. Yes, Asajj might be a little different. Yeah, she's very strong. But the batch got clapped. Absolutely clapped by Asajj Ventress. I love that we're potentially seeing them grow back to what they were in Season 1, working perfectly together. Or Plan 55, or Plan whatever number. The importance is that they're together. And maybe towards the end, in the final episode, we'll get to see all of them working together and being like, hey, maybe Plan 99 could work, you know? And then we have Echo, Crosshair, Hunter, Wrecker, Omega, maybe even Rex and Cody, depending on if he is or if he's not Clone X. I don't think he is. Clone X is just, he's a face for what they need to fight. Crosshair's ultimate enemy. I digress again. I just thought it was so cool seeing Clone Force 99 jump in together and work as a team to what is my favorite, honestly, my favorite division of clones out of all of them. 501st is awesome. The 212th, they're really cool. But it's just, these guys are the coolest ever. Obviously, they're meant to be because they have been designed that way. But I just don't like when we've separated everyone and turned them into something that they're not. Okay, I've written down here, the Juggernaut is a beast. Not only is the Juggernaut a beast, that is my favorite vehicle out of all of Star Wars. I know I said that before, but I used to have a little toy of the Juggernaut, and I used to rah up the jumps and or like a kid would regularly do. But I put that toy through the works. Oh my God, did that toy get battered and bruised. And just like what Hunter said, the armor's too tough. My toy would never break, and it made it my favorite ever. And it kind of worked out the same thing. Monster trucks, rah! They just destroyed the hell out of that other Juggernaut, breaking its wheels and then ramping it up. Absolute beast. And we even got to see an Indiana Jones style death on the Juggernaut. We had that TK trooper who's hanging on the side, and he goes, ah! And a rock just goes, deuce, and off. I kind of wanted him to not have his body fly off the back. I wanted it to just go, and then shred of, or like maybe even crumbles of his armor. Now, I get that it's a PG show, but that's not necessarily violence if you don't see the blood. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see like a splatter of not blood on the wall, even though it would be cool. Just a splatter of armor, just like up there. I thought that'd be really cool. But that's really, a lot of that scene was spoiled by Instagram. And there could be a point of me talking about how much I love everything and you know, being completely and utterly obsessed with the clones and everything there, but it kind of ruined it for me. That specific section of action is meant to be there just on the episode, and maybe even the themes of, they could have shown Omega and Dr. Carr being together, and her visibly being upset at the sight of Omega being back. Beautiful. It's not really spoiling because we knew that was going to happen. But the meat and the veggies of this show has always been the action. It's why animation has been so incredible. We needed to see more of the action as the show came out. So I hope for future episodes we don't get spoiled a lot of this awesome action and honestly really cool adventures. Although it made it seem like it was on Tantus, it would have been nicer to just experience action and to understand the themes of the episode beforehand. So, look, when it comes to stuff like that, tell me what you think down below. I'm not ashamed to be wrong with all that kind of stuff. Maybe you guys enjoyed it. Maybe that's what enticed you into watching the episode. So just let me know. Let me know down below. And also on Instagram. You can DM me on Instagram, Blore on Mandalore. I also have a TikTok, Blore on Mandalore. Anytime you guys want to ask a question, send it through there as well. It doesn't have to be live. I can answer it privately. No stress about that. Now, look, Rampart, I thought I'd just touch on him just because, obviously, he's back from being thrown under the bus by the Empire. What happened to Rampart at the start was, well, Season 1, was he was kind of the guy who goes, look, we got to get rid of the clones from the Empire's orders, obviously, and he led the charge on Kamino. Now, the Emperor Palpatine was able to actually twist that and be like, look, the clones are so obedient that they'll kill their own clones and their home world. Think about that when you want to have an army. I actually want to bring in new wave of everyday people and give you the opportunity to work for the Empire, the great Empire, where you will get a commission of every kill. Huh? No, but like, you get all the benefits of working for such a big company, obviously. But with this kind of stuff, Palpatine has just been playing 4D chess the whole time. He has been dipping his toes in every situation perfectly. Perfectly. So something like Project Necromancer actually makes a lot of sense for all of you hater skaters. But Rampart is back, although disheveled and seemingly broken. He's still as manipulative as ever. He knows that the Batch need him just as much as he needs the Batch. They're not going to kill him because he has the information. But is he going to betray them to try to get a spot back on the Empire? Now that's probably one of the biggest spots. They're putting a lot of faith in someone who has been against them completely their whole time. What in the hell are they going to do when he just goes, yeah, I'm not going to give it to you? Or maybe he leads them down to a track where they get captured by the Empire. Obviously, that's their way into Tantus. Sure. But I really hope that he actually has a little bit of a character arc and he helps out. Maybe he's not as manipulative. Look, the important part as well of that whole thing and the whole episode really is that no one knows the location of Mount Tantus. It's how it was designed. We are not going to find the right person to be able to go, oh yeah, by the way, it's in this location. No one knows, which is why it was never mentioned by anyone, which is why, look, they're covering their backs when it comes to everything later in Project Necromancer, sure. But no one knew about it. No one spoke about it. And even if they did know about it and they spoke about it, no one knew where the hell it was. So, aside from the whole obvious fact of Disney covering their backs, it's going to make it really interesting to see what happens with the Batch. And maybe it is that Rampart will kind of break his good streak and he'll hand in the Batch. Maybe he'll give the locations, but he'll warn the Empire on what's going on beforehand. Because he wants his seat back. He doesn't want to go back to a labor camp. No. He doesn't want to go back to standing in a boiler room for hours and hours just doing actual hard labor. Not for someone as poncy as he is and just a pure, honestly, asshole. He's just a pompous prick and he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So he's going to do whatever the hell he can to not get back. And if that means betraying the Batch, well, we're going to have to get ready for it. Now, to kind of finish a few things off here when it comes to the episode, because there wasn't really too much in this episode. Not really that you could break down. It was a lot of action. Not really too much to kind of write home about when it comes to lore-wise. So I think this episode's going to be a little smaller. But I love that Dr. Carr has a weak spot for Omega. Dr. Carr, whenever she sees Omega, her eyes go a little larger and she gets a little bit more upset and she feels horrible for what she's doing. You can tell when Omega walks into the room, her body language completely changes. She even struggled to speak. When Omega was like, is this gonna hurt? She's like, I've got to do what I got to do. It's just, obviously Dr. Carr is going to be a really important piece of the puzzle and how Omega and potentially even those Force sensitive kids can get out of there and go. I want to see her become good. I really want to see her become good because the way that she reacts to Omega's problems and her fears and also her happiness, it shows the true connection that they have. They really are, I mean, what it seems like the only two female clones. I mean, they've kind of got a sisterhood, and they've also been close to Nala Se their whole lives. Obviously, Dr. Carr has been accelerated in her aging. But with a connection to Nala Se and the science background and even just being women together, obviously, this is going to pan out to be a very incredible piece of the puzzle that allows Omega to at least potentially escape, or means that the batch get to kind of live their life and Omega gets taken away forever. But she gets a good life with it. Okay. Honestly, I mean, even on top of that, the way when Hemlock takes Omega away and Dr. Carr sighs. Like, come on. Tugs on the heartstrings. You know this girl is completely being torn up inside. She knows what she's doing is wrong. I mean, she's seen a baby be dragged in for blood sampling. The Empire isn't right here. The Empire is doing something wrong, and I'm glad that she has enough balls to recognize the problems that are happening all around her, and hopefully she can do something about it. Hopefully. We never know. Hopefully. Honestly, the last little confirmation that we needed was of Omega's blood actually working. It's not a one-off attempt. This is real. This is what's meant to happen. Her blood replicates midichlorians within the host's DNA. Otherwise, what we found out was that when injecting midichlorians, they dissipate over time. They slowly get away from the host. They need someone of Omega's blood type to be able to bind the midichlorians to the host. Now, that kind of does give me a little bit of an idea, potentially. Now, obviously, this is not my own idea. This is from Connor at Beyond the Dune Sea. He says, what if Omega gives a little bit of Force serum and then kind of speeds up her ability to use the Force, and she can use like one big poof, and then it dissipates from her body? Could she potentially have that whole DC Bane steroids, Force roids? Omega is going to use Force roids in order to be able to save the Force users around her. Just I want to get out of here and see my bitch. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. So, Connor at Beyond the Dune Sea, I completely agree with you. Completely agree with everything what you're saying there. Super awesome, super interesting theory. We'll see how that one goes. But guys, honestly, that's going to be it for the actual episode itself. Let's dive into how the fans reacted. Now, I scoured the internet, Reddit, YouTube on other people's videos. Also, Facebook, when you say I'm a part of multiple different groups, and even Instagram, seeing some awesome creators posting about it. I mean, people are using the F word, filler. But a lot of people are loving that Rampart is back and will potentially have his... I saw someone call it his Mayfair. Now, Mayfield. Apologies. Miggs Mayfield is a character in The Mandalorian. He's the one who shoots the Imperial officer when he talks about all the destruction that happened. You hated him at the start. He did a lot of bad stuff, but now you kind of like him. So it'd be really cool to see what this fan said. It would be really cool to see Rampart have a very similar trajectory. I thought that was really interesting. Like, I'm not the biggest Rampart fan. I don't need him to have anything important going on. I just kind of want him to give the information and then honestly bugger off. Like, you destroyed Camino, bucko. Boo you, buddy. But yeah, like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All I've seen from the fan reactions is strong episode. It hasn't been the favorite, but it hasn't been bad. And that's the important part, is you get so many Star Wars fans hating on everything. I'm glad this episode kind of tickled the fancy of multiple different people in the fan base. Yes, there's always going to be negative comments, but I don't really need to go into them because you can kind of expect it. Like, oh, Disney Star Wars isn't good Star Wars. Rah, rah, rah. Shut up, bro. Shut up. We love everything to do with Star Wars here on Blore on Mandalore. So get to know it, get to loving it, and watch as much as you can with a positive attitude. Hopefully, after watching this episode, you can have a little bit more of a positive outlook towards Star Wars, because I am nothing but in love with everything that they've been dropping out lately. Lately. So, theories for next episodes/episode. Woo! Look, for the next couple of episodes, I think, because we only have like 4 more left, I have Omega will learn what the Force is and may use it. Now, those kids don't know much of it, but maybe they can kind of teach her, and she can help teach them off of her training from Gungi. We'll see. But maybe she gets to use the Force and will at least know what the Force is. Next one, Bad Batch will go on an Adventure of the Week style mission to find the location. But if they do that, they have to find it. No ifs and buts. We don't have enough episodes to kind of screw around here. They're finding the location and they need to get there ASAP. Or at least get the information and then collect everyone together and then get ready for the next episode. That's good. That's a pretty damn good theory. If that happens, guys, I'm beyond belief. So then on the last one I've got here is Crosshair's hand problems are revealed, as well as the cause of the problem. Now, obviously, what I mean by that is Crosshair is going to find out in the next episodes why his hand is like this. And I believe we're going to get a little bit of a background. Will be like a flashback of exactly what happened to be able to cause it. Look, it might happen, it might not. I think it'd be awesome content. I just want to know exactly what happened to Crosshair, because, like, he's literally lost his identity. He could just be, like, Shooter. I don't know. Crosshair. Sometimes. Pretty shit name. All right, guys, look, it's that time of the week. We are going to get into Power Battles. It's going to make it so much better when I have this behind me and I can go Power Battles. So I got this actually from Beyond the Dune Sea as well. Obviously, you play this with your mates. You always have a good time. Oh, who do you think would win? Yoda versus Darth Sidious. Well, it's very clear Darth Sidious wins. But basically, I draw 2 names out of this. We're only going to stick to 2 unless we have names that we keep on getting. I'm going to split this up here. There we go. That's juicy. That's good. All right. So we have R5D4. All right. I'm going to put R5D4. Boing. right there, or boing, depending on the location, how much I can fit in the screen. Verse Sia Junda. No. I had her last one. We're not going to do that one again. Let's give R5 a fair fight. Yoda Grandmaster. Bang. Yoda versus R5D4. Now, look, we know how Yoda went in a fight against R2D2, which I think R2 won. So, if R5 has the technical capabilities of R2D2, I think he's got the upper hand on Yoda. Now, maybe he could blow a gasket and it could shoot up like a little blotch of oil, drop down and blocks Yoda's eyes, and he's like, oil, my eyes have. And then maybe he could come up and go bonk and knock him on the head, and then Yoda's just defeated. That could be a serious thing that happens. And not at all Yoda completely demolishing R5. No. We love R5. Is there a reason? Yeah, he's with the Mandalorian, okay? And he's a sweetheart. He's a sweetie. Okay, we love R5. He's such a sweetie. He was literally one of the first people back on the Mines of Mandalore, other than the Empire. All right? I get it. Don't attack me in the comments. So, let's get into the questions for the audience. Sorry, from the audience. What? All right. So, every week at around Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, before the Bad Batch episode, but it spans across it. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll put out on my Instagram, Blore on Mandalore, a question prompt for you guys to be able to put in your questions every single week. Now, I got a lot of good questions on previous weeks. This week has been a little quieter because it hasn't been the biggest episode. Understandable. But let's give it a go. All right. So we have from Tia Galanos. I've never seen Star Wars before you. I've never seen Star Wars before you, as in seeing... I'm dating Tia Galanos, okay, guys? I know it's been very questionable in these past couple of weeks of doing it when she puts in a question every single week. But I'm dating her. Yeah, I know. You should give her a follow. She's pretty beautiful. Actually, she's the most beautiful girl in the world. But she says, I've never seen Star Wars before you. Give me a 1-minute rundown. In brackets, I know it'll be hard. All right. Okay. 1-minute rundown of Star Wars. Okay. Now, I'm only going to do the Skywalker saga. Okay, you know what? Let's put a timer on. Let's do this. Okay. And now, basically, two bad people used a thing that you can't see, but it fills everyone around them, and created the one true person to be able to bring balance to the world and the whole galaxy itself. And terrorists came in to try to take away all of the good things and make them bad again, but he did it under the disguise of being a good person, and then he became the overlord leader of the whole world, taken down by offspring of the Chosen One, and then the offspring of the Chosen One, when they took him down, they turned... They basically created... Oh, God. They basically trained up other people to take that same guy down again because he couldn't be taken down the first time. And boom! That was 58 seconds, 59 milliseconds. Oh, look, guys. That was incredible. Tia, thank you for the question. You knew that was going to be so hard. And I so screwed that up. But we have the next question, which is a double parter from Conabon or Condabon. What's your favorite Star Wars quote? And then she said in the voice, please. Okay. My very favorite Star Wars quote is and always will be from The Mandalorian. And this is my impression at the same time. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. The reason why it's my favorite is because that is the line that brought me back into Star Wars. I kind of fell off for a little bit. I didn't really watch too much. But then seeing that badass in an ironclad or Beskar-clad suit, yeah. I knew that was going to be something that I loved. So, we have the questions for the audience. Let's get into this. We have, will Omega use the Force? Look, I don't think she's going to actually use the Force. I just think she has the ability to be able to transfer midichlorians. Maybe if she gives herself like a little Force booster, she'll be able to use it for a little bit. Or maybe no, because it replicates in her body. Maybe if they juice her up with the Force, she'll be able to use it. Who knows? Is Omega lost from the batch? The main part of that is, are we ever going to see the batch and Omega unite properly? They might see each other again and they might all die. Who knows? Do you think Omega is lost from the batch? Will Rampart betray the batch? Yeah, he will. 100% he will. 100%. No doubt in my mind. And then next and last is Dr. Carr the savior for Omega and the kids? Guys, if you want to answer any of those questions, send me a comment down below. DM on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. It has been an absolute honor. What I will say, just before I wrap this whole thing up, is I am a huge collector of Star Wars The Vintage Collection. Now, I got this one recently, the Din Djarin from Morak, basically where he had to dress up as an Imperial. I'm going to do an unboxing video coming up very soon. Very, very soon. It's probably just going to be... I'm going to dip my toes into short-form content because obviously this is quite a while. Though this takes a long time to kind of watch. So if you want to get a little bit more content, I'm going to be putting out a video in the next probably couple of weeks of just an unboxing. I'm not going to say what it is, but I will say there's two types of it. What? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Oh my God. I don't know. Guys, it's been an absolute honor. A pleasure doing this. I love doing this for you every single week. I'll be back next week for the next release of Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 13. I don't know why I did that and not the one as well. 13. Like always, guys, I love you. You have been the best, as you always are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right. Thanks.